All right, glad to have you back on the show. Now it's time to delve into the next discussion. 26 years ago, in broad daylight on June 4, 1996, a point-blank shot in the head snuffled life out of Alhaja KUDIRAT ABIOLA, wife of Chief MKO ABIOLA, the winner of the June 12, 1993 presidential election. She was a strong pillar of the National Democratic Coalition, NADECO, which was engaged in a fierce struggle for the restoration of democracy in general, and in particular the June 12 presidential mandate, which had been unceremoniously and unjustly annulled by the Babangida military administration. In commemoration of the KUDIRAT ABIOLA's life, legacy, and all that she stood for, her son, Abdulmumuni Abiola, joins us via Zoom. Good morning, Abdulmumuni, and thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning, Margaret. Nice to hear your voice again. It's been a long time.
Oh yeah, thank you so much. So it's been 26 years now, and the legacy of your mother, the late Alhaja KUDIRAT ABIOLA, still lives on. Now she was a strong force of democracy and standing, of course, supporting her husband, which is your dad, the late Chief MKO ABIOLA. So would you say that what she fought for is of course democracy? Would you say it's a process, or would you say it's actually being actualized in this day politics?
Okay, so if I get your question correctly, I'm going to address it. First of all, I would like to first express my condolences to the governor of Ondo State over the massacre that happened a couple of days ago. Also to the people of Ondo, those who lost their lives, the families of those who lost their lives. You know, it's very sad, and it speaks volumes to where we find ourselves in today's Nigeria. Okay. Well, but going to your question, it's been 26 years since my mom's unfortunate murder. But I would say, like I've always maintained that democracy is not a destination, but a journey. And in that sense, what we try and what I have tried to do is try to always look for the silver lining. So, first of all, yes, I lost my mom, but at the same time, I believe that the loss was just not in vain. It was for a purpose. And human nature is to always find purpose, is always find value. So I'm just a little bit, disturbed that, after losing not only my mom and my father, but even so many other Nigerians that were part of that struggle. We can talk about, Bola Ige, we can talk about Rwani. There's so many people, that we're taking maybe a little bit too early, maybe before their time. Mm-hmm. And, when we just suppose, the losses that we've had, and let's move forward. There's been more losses, we're seeing, kidnappings, we're seeing killings, the Yakubu lady, these things speaks volumes. For one, I'll just say this, my mom died 26 years ago. I always believe that the only way to get true, closure is when the people who were culpable, who were the masterminds of the crime, are held accountable. And it's very, very important that in a society of 220 million people, we have to take situations or issues around the safety of human lives seriously. Once anybody decides to take matters into their own hands and take lives or try to subjugate their own people, at that point, that person ceases to be a Nigerian and now becomes an enemy of the state. And I'm totally adamant on this point. My mom's killing wasn't by unknown gunmen or unknown men. Mm-hmm. These were state actors who took this action. Now, these state actors actually have also confessed There's records on their Uputa panel. It's all over the internet about how they, how they orchestrated the whole event. They confessed to their crimes. The only conclusion once somebody has confessed to being guilty is the requisite punishment. If there is no punishment, then there is no deterrence. And that is the issue. And that's why I've always maintained that justice must be seen to be done, and done for the Alhaja KUDIRAT ABIOLA. If not for any other reason, my mother will not come back. I will never see her again. But for the only reason that it would create a deterrent for anybody who thinks that he is above the law of the land. We cannot have the law for the goats and then another law for the dog. It's one law for everybody. As long as you're in the shores of this country, we have to maintain that, because that's the only way sanity will prevail.
Are you there? Hello, Abdulmoni, can you hear me?
Okay, I think network issues there. I understand, the place of
is anarchy, and when you have that, nothing can ever work. You see, we talk about the economy going bad, it's because of the lack of security, and all these things are predicated on the fact that people who are found culpable of, outrageous crimes, outrageous crimes, are not being held accountable. Now, if they're not going to be held accountable, then anybody else can say, okay, you know what, I'll take matters into my own hands. If I, like me being a victim of this crime, what will stop me after 26 years of, being a law-abiding citizen to go through the court process, trying to meet with the, trying to get the laws to be actually, implemented? What will stop me from start taking the laws into my own hands when I see that the institution that is supposed to protect me in this kind of in this situation is not doing, they're not upholding their role. So I first of all would first reach out to Mr.
Okay. Well, I think can you hear me? Well, I think we have a bit of network issue, but please, if you can hear me during the conversation, please do well to butt in. All right, well, I understand the place he's coming from. He mentioned that he would have to see his mom again after 26 years. And I know one of his favorite phrases is the fact that democracy is not a destination, but a journey. But then, how far? Hello, can you hear me, please?
I can hear you a bit. Can you please increase the volume on your side?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Is it fine there?
I can hear you, but it's very light.
Okay. Well, we just have to, while the technical team will do with that. But then I know one of your favorite phrases about democracy is the fact that democracy is not a destination, but a journey. But even in the course of the journey, some journeys, people move in some journeys at a snail speed, while others move at very high acceleration. So now, what's your mom died for? I understand the part you're coming from, because you won't have to see her again. But the question really is, does the journey of democracy from the inception, when your dad came into power in 1993 or won the election, of course, was annulled, would you say democracy in Nigeria, which you always say it's a journey, is it at a snail speed, or is accelerating as fast as it should be?
Okay. Now, when I say democracy is a journey, not a destination, what I basically mean is, see, when people want to talk about democracy, it seems like, it's this whole big party. Democracy is not a party at all. Democracy is about inclusion. Democracy is about discussion. Democracy is about, coming together, something that not one man can do. So that's democracy for you. What I'm saying to you in general is, first of all, I question the legality of the constitution that was handed over to us by General Abdul Salam. Okay. I question the legality because I want to know where he got that document from. Where exactly did he pick that document from? Sometimes I look at it and I say to myself that, is that when you build on sharp sand, it is not going to stand. I believe that constitution, first of all, is a contraption. It states we the people. There was nowhere, I don't remember, maybe you do, and if you do, please inform me, but there was nowhere that I remember any conversation with the people. This was a construction of like 5 or 6 different people who decided to now impose their will on the Nigerian people. That is number one. Now, that being said, you see, man proposes, God disposes. That's it. Okay. So they propose that they will be able to subjugate the whole 220.
Yet again, we have the network issues. Well, something you want to button.
Yeah. I was just about asking him a few questions. Okay, I think we have him back.
Please,
are you there?
Can you
Please
hear
kindly
us?
shut.
Please. All right. So if you can hear us, he will join the conversation.
Quite a handful of points he has raised. You know, the place of you know, those who perpetrated the evil, the act.
That's a connivance with her PA and also her driver, I guess.
Yep, to, you know, be held accountable. And quite all right, as he has mentioned, during the Oputa panel, quite famous, there were several instances, you know, where that was accounted for. Hello? Are you there?
Yeah, I am here.
Okay, yeah, you are saying some things, but probably I should step in at this point in time and just ask. Yes, your mom fought for democracy. She also fought for, you know, the reinstatement of the democratic institution, especially that won by your father. Talking about the 1993, I beg your pardon, presidential elections. Do you think that there was a bit of closure in 2018 when the current president recognized your father as duly elected president of Nigeria way back as in 1993?
Yes, I definitely do. And what I said, if I can remember, if I go back, when Mr. President, President Muhammad Buhari made that declaration, I first of all said what this man did was not only for the ABIOLA family, but for the Nigerian people. He restored the Nigerian people's hope. Okay. You see, what was done in 1993 was not only to truncate one man's vision for a nation, but it truncated the vision.
Okay. I think it's a bit of unstable network somewhere there.
Yeah, the network isn't friendly, but you know, there's always the need for closure.
Of course, yeah.
Not because it will bring back the loved ones that have been lost, but for what his mother fought for, you know.
It was like the beginning of where people stopped thinking of themselves as regional lords and masters and as a collective whole. You see, and that's the issue here. You see, I think with what Mr. Buhari did and the President Buhari did, he basically restored and rekindled hope in the nation, because now, as far as I'm concerned, you know, it sends a signal, a message. The same way, like if somebody is a criminal, he should be punished. That sends a message so people don't do it again. This sends a message that if you are good, if you believe in your nation, if you sacrifice for your nation would honor you. That sends a signal. You know, I even go further to say that, you know, we need to be able to do these kind of things for people in different sectors or different institutions, so that way people see that value can be added when you do the right thing. I think that so many people have done so many wrong things and there's no repercussions for them. And when you don't sanction people for going against, you know, the vision or the direction of a nation, then you just open the floodgates for everybody to just decide to go in different directions. What we need is a focused and a driven leadership.
Okay. Well, I was just about to even butt in, but then I think we still have a bit of crappy network. What he mentioned the fact that, well, the person, like the question you asked, are you back, please? If you're back, please go on.
There's still, but this resilience will not last forever.
Okay.
So I am suggesting that come 2023, the Nigerian people, and especially the youth, decide to jettison the past. I believe that you cannot look in your past for your solutions to your future. It doesn't work.
All right, okay.
Look, the people that put us in the present us deciding where we are going to go tomorrow. If your driver is blind, I would suggest you take him out of the driver's seat
Okay.
and put him in the back seat
All
on
right,
the
I
boot.
understand you. I understand where you're coming from. But then we remember Alhaja KUDIRAT ABIOLA as a woman who stood firm for democratic principles. She was the mastermind of the oil workers' strike, of course, targeted at the military regime as at then, because we're not ready to hand over power. We saw how she stood for your father and stood for what he believes in, and of course was murdered in the process. And you were 9, if I'm correct, when she died. So what more can you tell us about your mother from the little time you spent with her?